Hey guys, how are you? Welcome into a Saturday morning edition of the Daily Juice Podcast. My name is Matt Perrault. We are here on BettingPros.com, always being brought to you by BetMGM. You guys can find this podcast on YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts, and every morning you'll get it on BettingPros.com as well. You guys who are watching on YouTube, you see our fun little new layout we got going on here, including that BetMGM offer, which is always available. You bet $20 to win $100 on any event using that promo code JUICE100. So if you ever are wondering, man, Matt, what's that promo code? I don't know what that promo code is. Well, just go to YouTube, search Betting Pros, and you will see it right on the actual layout now for our podcast for the Daily Juice video. All right, good night last night. Gotta love them. They're a lot of fun. And look, the Vegas Golden Knights won. So I don't care about losing that half unit, okay? And you might go, Matt, you lost a bet. I don't care. I am gladly to go. What? We went 5-1. I will be in love with that. 2-0 on the player props. Finally, we have been searching for a 2-0 night with the player props. Marcus Morris and John Collins both go over their point total, so that was nice. We get the Atlanta Hawks in a laugher, which was awesome. Atlanta -4. They took care of business. I did take the Knicks in the first half, though. My own personal bet, that was wrong. We took the Boston Celtics. I did in the first half. That cashed to make up for that Knicks bet. And then the over goes for Boston and Brooklyn. And the cherry on top is that Boston won the game. Now, I didn't bet a side in that game, just the total. And here's the fun thing if you are the books. Man, I've been posting in the Discord channel. Mostly they're coming from DraftKings. FanDuel gives them to me too. But FanDuel and DraftKings both send out their data in very pretty graph form before these games are going off. And some of you are recognizing what I've been talking about for a long time. And if you are new to this, you vets know this, and you've heard me say this a lot, but fade the public. Fading the public is not always going to win, all right? But there are certain games where 90%, 95%, you start to see everyone being on one side and the number not changing dramatically. As you get used to watching this stuff and as you get used to seeing the numbers, you're going to go, oh, wait a second. That's not, I don't want to be on that side, which was Brooklyn laying 8 or Brooklyn on the money line. The books got a gift from the Boston Celtics. Not only did they clean up on the money line bets, not only did they clean up on the laying 8 Brooklyn Nets bet, but they also cleaned up on all the parlays because everybody had Brooklyn -8 or Brooklyn money line in every parlay last night. So the books, that Celtics win was enormous for the sports books. I'm glad I didn't get involved. Just took Boston in the first half, and that cashed, and we took the over. So that was nice. So we got that right. And so, look, it was a good day. I mean, it was a strong day. It was a fun day. And the over for the Vegas Golden Knights, that came in easily. So that's always fun when you got a kind of a walk to 5 over. The books thought that was going to be a low-scoring game, and it was not. Vegas came out quickly. For the most part, the Wild were trying to match Vegas, but in the second period, Vegas took over. In the third period, Vegas dominated as well, which was really nice. So we go 5-1 on the day, which is awesome, and I will take those every single time, and we're back here on a Saturday morning with a bunch of picks. All right, I've got 2 NBA plays. I've got 1 NHL play, and I have a boxing fight tonight. I don't know if you guys know much about Devin Haney, but I'll talk a little bit about him here as we have a play on that fight coming up tonight here in Vegas, and I'm looking forward to watching it. And Jorge Linares is a vet, and we'll get into a little bit that fight more. But these are one of the benefits of being at the boxing gym that I am at. If you ever come to Vegas and you're a boxer and you want to train at like a legitimate gym, my friends at DLX Boxing are brand new. They're a gorgeous gym. It's small, but there are some real pros who come through there, and people who work at Top Rank, and people who have been around the boxing game for a really long time. And I'm learning a ton, and it's great because I get tips. And I got a tip last night as I was talking to somebody about the Devin Haney fight. So we'll get into that coming up here a little bit later on. All right, so let's start here with the NHL and Boston taking on the New York Islanders. These two teams are basically mirrors of each other, but Boston's the better team, okay? However, I think the numbers are all out of whack here for this series and for this game. And I think if you're looking for value, I think there's real value on betting the Islanders to win this series. I don't think Boston's going to walk over New York. I just don't see it. Game 1 here in Boston, there's going to be a pretty big crowd. I think they're going to have near capacity for this, so it's going to be really big. But the Islanders are not going to play the same way they played against the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's not happening, all right? They're going to go into a shell. Boston equally goes into a shell. The total is 5, okay? You guys have been talking and hearing me talk about 5, bet the over, 5, bet the over. And I came really close to betting 5 and the over. However, I'm going to try something here. And I found 5 under at plus money. There's a chance we push. Just like when I talk about betting overs at 5, there is a chance we could push with 5 and the under. I haven't had one of these real brutal sweats in a while, and so it's plus money at plus 120. There's a chance we push, and it's a 3-2 win. That's probably what's going to happen here. It's going to be 3-2 somebody, 2-2, and then it'll be a third goal, and it will be a push, 3-2 win for somebody. Hopefully we don't get burned by an open net goal, okay? Hopefully that's not going to happen. But at plus 120, to bet 5 and go under 5, the under is 6-1-2 in the last 9 meetings between Boston and the Islanders. Normally it's 5.5. That's the normal under. If the number does go up to 5.5, bet the under, and I think you won't be getting plus money, but I think in a very similar way, you may cash your bet, and I might wind up pushing with 5 being the total. But I think Sorokin's in net for the Islanders. Rask is in net for the Bruins. These teams, Boston at home, the home team is 7-1 in the last 8 meetings between these two teams. Islanders are 2-6 in the last 8 meetings in Boston. They haven't played all that well there, but the last 65 games for the Islanders as a road dog, the under is 42-18-5. It's a pretty big trend, right? I mean, these are just numbers, right? But you have to think about the way the Islanders are going to play. They can't go up and down the ice with Boston, and Boston doesn't want to do that anyway. Boston doesn't play with explosive offenses. They don't, Boston can score, and they've got some good lines, but their top 2 lines have not been good, to be quite honest. The Islanders are coming in off of a really hard series. They get a big victory, but they're on the road, and again, Boston has been resting, and Boston has a chance here. I think Boston will win Game 1. I'm just going to take a roll of the dice here. I want Boston to win. I'll have a personal play on the Bruins to win this game on the money line, but I'm not going to, for the podcast purposes, the official play is going to be under 5 at plus 120 for the Bruins and the Islanders. We might push, but we might also cash with some plus money. So, one NHL bet tonight, Bruins, Islanders, under 5 at plus 120. Okay? 2 NBA plays. Let's start talking about Memphis and the Utah Jazz. Okay, so against the spread this year, Utah 42-32, Memphis 44-32. So far in this series, 1-1 on both sides. Utah in Game 1 was favored by 7.5. They lost by 3. In Game 2, they were 10-point favorites. They won by 12, so they've covered. Here's the thing about Memphis. This team is really, really gritty. They're 2-3 over the last 5 to the number, 4-6 over the last 10, but at home, they're 20-17, and the Utah Jazz are 18-18 against the number. This is going to be a rocking environment for Memphis here against Utah. They're in this series. I was dead wrong about this Utah Jazz team, okay? I will admit it. I'll raise my hand. Absolutely dead wrong about what they're capable of doing, and I'm getting 5 points here. I got 5 points for the home team. Man, I know everyone's going to go, Utah, take Utah. I don't think so, okay? I think Memphis is alive to win this game. I think they've got some real big matchups. Valanciunas is a big problem. They can get him going. And Ja Morant is playing some of the best basketball of his life. And Utah really, they don't have an answer for Ja Morant. They just don't. And he's shooting the 3 really well. Dylan Brooks is playing great defense. I'm not so sure that we've seen, the best of Utah yet in this series. And I know you're going to have Donovan Mitchell at some point when he gets healthier and healthier, it's going to go off. I just don't know how healthy he is. Even after Game 2, didn't look perfect, didn't look great. I'll take the 5 points. I got a home dog with Memphis with the way they scrap. Give me the 5. Memphis plus 5 up against Utah for a half a unit for the first NBA play, second play of the night. And then let's talk about the over between the Nuggets and the Portland Trailblazers. So here in Vegas, it was 226 at the Westgate. Circa was at 227.5. That's a pretty big discrepancy, a pretty big difference between books in Vegas. You rarely ever see that. So I jumped on the over 226. So far this year, Denver is 42-33 to the over. Portland is 41-34 to the over. Both teams have a 4-game streak going to the over. 4-1 the last 5, 7-3 for Denver in the last 10 to the over, and Portland is 6-4 to the over the last 10. In this series so far, you look at the way these teams have played, they've now played 4 consecutive games against each other, and all 4 games have gone over. We bet the first 2. Let's bet it again here, because why would we fade this trend here with what we're looking at? So far, at 229, went over by 19, 226.5, went over by 5.5, 225, went over by 12, and 227, went over by 8. I have 226, and we're going over. Damian Lillard cannot really be stopped. You know they're going to be angry here. They lost home court. They're going to be mad. They want to win Game 4 here. Laying the 4 with Portland is a little scary because I do think Denver is playing some really good basketball, and Jokic is a problem for them. I don't think they've got an answer. Jokic can't handle it. They don't have a post player who can defend, and then other guys got going. And do I think Austin Rivers has another fourth quarter like he had in Game 3? No. Scored 16 points in the fourth quarter of his 21 points, hit 4 or 5 three-pointers in the fourth quarter. I don't think that happens again, but maybe I want him to because I need points. So we're going over 226, Denver in Portland for the second NBA play of the night, okay? And I've got one boxing bet to tell you about. Okay, so Devin Haney at 22 years of age is fighting Jorge Linares at 35 years of age. It's a 12-round fight, okay? 12-round fight. If you look at the last 2 fights for Devin Haney, both have gone to the cards. Knockout win over Carlos Morales for Jorge Linares put him into this position to get a fight, to get the World Boxing Council WBC World Lightweight title here. And in the previous fight, it was a unanimous decision win for Jorge Linares. But he's lost 2 of his previous 5 fights, okay? The only knockout that we've seen so far for Devin Haney since going back over the last 5 fights was back in 2019, back in May of 2019. So 2 years ago was the last time that Devin Haney knocked out somebody. There are so many people with so much riding on Devin Haney. Okay, Devin Haney is based here in Vegas. Devin Haney has a whole production company. He has Devin Haney Productions and Promotions. They've got vans all over town. He's 22 years of age. He's supposed to fight Ryan Garcia in the future. He's supposed to fight Errol Spence Jr. in the future. But he's got to win this fight. And he has to do it with somewhat impressive fashion. So, as I mentioned, I'm at my gym, having a conversation, talking about this fight with a bunch of people. Linares, the only way he wins this fight is if he clips Haney early. He has to hurt him early. Now, can he do it? Yeah, he can do it. So here's what's going to happen. Devin Haney is not going to go gangbusters early. Now, this is just what I was told, okay? I could be dead wrong about this, but the total for this fight is 8.5. 8.5 rounds, 12-round fight. Devin Haney is going to try to not survive, but he's going to try to make sure he doesn't get clipped early by Linares, who's a 35-year-old veteran, has been around for a long time, former champion. He knows that Haney is stronger, in better shape, younger, all the things that you'd want to take him to deep water and then go after him and maybe knock him out in the later rounds. That pretty much is going to be the strategy. Haney is a monster favorite, and I mean just a crazy, crazy favorite. Minus 1,400 here in Vegas to win this fight. He's not losing. It's just a matter of, and if he does lose, there are so many people who are going to be in real trouble because they've invested so much money in Devin Haney to be a monster superstar in boxing. He's only 22. This is the first time they're actually putting him in a ring with a legitimate former champion and somebody who has been through the wars. This guy's 35 years old. He's been through the wars. He's been hit. He's been knocked down. He's been hurt before. Haney really hasn't ever really been hurt by a guy like this before. So they know this. So expect him to be a little bit off the gas in the first couple of rounds, and that leads to the over. Rounds 9, rounds 10, rounds 11, Haney goes to work. He may knock out Linares in a later round. So I don't want to go and bet to the decision and you can get some good plus money on that. But there is a chance that he does knock out Linares late, as Linares will fade. He'll get tired. His age will come into play, and then Haney just steps on the gas and goes round 9, round 10, round 11. 8.5 is the total. We're betting over 8.5, half a unit for Devin Haney and Jorge Linares. Minus 135 is the odds that I got on this. I think we go into the 9th or the 10th round. Maybe we see a knockout there in the 10th, 11th, or 12th in the later rounds, in the championship rounds of the fight. But it would be very surprising to see, unless Linares knocks out Haney, and again, if he does, that's a plus 800 win, and the boxing world will be stunned. The most logical thing is Haney wins on the cards. However, he needs a knockout. He needs to start to build up his overall persona. He needs to make people to pay attention to him, and frankly, he just has not been all that impressive in his last 2 fights. He needs this. He needs to show everybody that he is going to be a legitimate player in this division for a long time to come. Haney, Linares, over 8.5 rounds at minus 135 is the only boxing fight that we'll play here coming up tonight. Michelob Ultra Arena, Mandalay Bay, here in Las Vegas for that fight. Okay, and that fight probably starts somewhere around 10 o'clock Eastern time for that fight here in Vegas. So, to recap the plays, Boston under 5 at plus 120, Boston and the Islanders. Grizzlies plus the 5 at home, taking on the Portland Trailblazers. Over Portland and Nuggets, 226 at minus 110, and Devin Haney over 8.5 rounds against Jorge Linares. 4 plays for you guys coming up here tonight, and the 2 player props that will hit you on the Discord channel. If you guys are not in the Discord channel, you will see all my other plays, personal plays, and whatnot that I make. You can go check those out that haven't made the podcast, that or just plays I like and that I've put into motion. BettingPros.com/chat to get in. BettingPros.com/chat to get into that as well. Or you guys can go and on YouTube, there's everything underneath me, all these links you guys can click to get into the YouTube channel for that. Always remember the BetMGM offer, Juice 100, $20 to win $100. The parlay, by the way, was scrapped due to, I think 2 games were rained out. 1 was for sure, but 2 games were rained out. So we're still 14-4 on the parlay. So we just don't even count it because it did not qualify once we wound up seeing the weather come in. So we'll be back next Friday for another one of those. My name is Matt Perrault. You can follow me on Twitter at SportsTalkMatt every single morning. It's the Daily Juice podcast being brought to you by BetMGM right here on BettingPros.com.